is genetic engineering, also known as genetic modification?
Genetic engineering is the direct manipulation of DNA that changes one's organism, also known as their phenotype.
Such as changing one's base,
Deleting a region of DNA,
Adding a new copy of a gene.
or extracting DNA from a different genome and adding it to the DNA of another individual.
A member of a large group of unicellular microorganisms.
Which have a cell wall but lack organelles and an organized nucleus.
It is a small piece of circular DNA that can be found in bacteria or yeast cells. How does it work? Well, it varies from different organism to organism and use of genetic engineering.
An example of one use is to produce plants that have more nutritional value and can be exposed to herbicides.
Or my twin girls, Nana and Lulu, who were genetically modified to be immune to HIV.
Woo-woo! Or to produce artificial insulin from yeast or bacteria such as E. coli. They extract a plasmid from these bacteria to make it.
The greatest genetic engineering advancements in chronological order.
1973 was the first genetically modified organism, called a bacterium.
1974, the same technique was applied to mice.
1982, the first artificial insulin was licensed for human use.
In 1994, the first genetically modified foods were available.
2018, the first genetically modified humans were born.
Currently, genetic engineering is being used for scientific research, agriculture, and technological advancements.
How is genetic engineering changing the world?
To answer that question, we decided to interview a bunch of scientists and doctors from Hong Kong about the designer babies.
Reflecting on the first Human Genome Editing Summit of 2015, it was stated that no pregnancy should be established before dealing with questions of safety and ethics. For example, addressing the point that changes to an embryo's genome may be passed on to the children of that embryo's adult self. 2018, 3 years later, Dr. He Jiankui, who is an expert in DNA sequencing but has no official training in reproductive research, has recently genetically modified a set of twin girls in Hong Kong. These girls were born in October and are currently being surveyed very closely. Dr. He, as well as many other doctors, such as David Baltimore, who will start the debate about these current events, have joined us here today to discuss the pros and cons of Dr. He's actions.
It is irresponsible and a blatant violation of the international norms and also a failure of self-regulation by the scientific community.
Zai Zimi here. I would like to add that it is contrary to Chinese law that back in 2001, the government introduced a regulation prohibiting interventions that could lead to changes in the human genome.
Thank you both for your input. We are now going to bring in Dr. He and Feng Zhang to join us to discuss their ideas of this topic. Welcome back, everyone. We're now going to pass the mic over to Dr. He.
I believe that it is not irresponsible to immune children from the HIV. A requirement for this is to genetically modify a trial was that the father had to be HIV positive. Through this trial and IVF, I was able to immune these children from HIV.
But HIV infections can easily be prevented and easily stopped.
That treatment is lifelong.
Let's return to the other scientists and allow them to weigh in.
Okay. Personally, I believe that when Dr. He presented an idea of the sort, the talk was cursory, too thin on the details for anyone to assess them properly. The word, assess the word, can I just?
Sure, you can. It doesn't have to be word for word.
Okay.
It's just.
Personally, I believe that when Dr. He presented the idea of the swords, the talk was cursory, too thin on the ideas for anyone to assess the work properly. The method used has existed for several years now, and we as a community have decided it is still too immature to move on to humans. But Dr. He pressed ahead anyways, and in a way it is totally unnecessary. It is simply beyond belief.
How would we had known if we've never tried?
Just because we could doesn't mean we should. Anyways, the genie's already out of the bottle and just needs to be put back.
In conclusion, we believe that future advancements that hold for the future of genetic engineering are fully genetically modified children or human beings.
This future advancement could lead to discrimination like we see in the Gattaca movie, where children who are genetically modified are seen as superior.
This could also lead to HIV immunity within our community and our world, such as with the twins Lulu and Nana from Hong Kong.
Thanks for watching!
And stay curious.